My11Circle's Bowl First with me, JARROD Kimber, talking about your cricket needs, your cricket wants, a lot, just mostly about cricket thingies. Harshal Patel, that's not a name anyone expected for this first game. I mean, I'm assuming he wasn't at top of the pops for a lot of those fantasy lineups out there. Journeyman cricketer over a long period of time, hasn't bowled a lot. He hasn't bowled consistently in years. And then he comes out with these sort of demon-like reverse swinging balls, some really good slow balls that dipped really late. There was a lot of skill on show for a guy who really hasn't bowled much. And if you're thinking, well, that's a bit unfair, maybe he's always been this good. Well, tonight was his 49th IPL game. He has 51 IPL wickets, and he took 9.8% of them tonight. I'm just saying, he's not normally like this. Now, it's up to you if you want to believe he's always going to be like this or not. This might have been a magic night for him, though, because he also hit the winning runs. Sometimes when your luck's in, your luck's in. What about that pitch, eh? When Chennai isn't in charge of it, it doesn't seem quite as spin-friendly as it usually does. It still spun, but it didn't seem to actually benefit the spinners at all. The tweakers got carted for 9.38 runs and over, and it was the quicks who dominated. They went for 7.2 runs and over and took a wicket every 13 runs. It was completely separate to what we thought it was going to be. And it was because I thought this pitch would spin that I thought Washington Sundar might be a bit of a handful out here. And he might have been, but maybe the weight of me making him vice captain of my team, which was a punchy suggestion, no doubt about that, didn't quite go well for me. But let's just have a look at Washington Sundar. He did bowl one over, he took a wicket, 1 for 7, and didn't bowl another over. Well, most of the spinners went for runs, and he didn't, and took a wicket and didn't bowl again. But he made a lot of errors in the field as well. I think he dropped one catch, so another time he was just in the wrong position. Certainly wasn't going well. I also thought he might get used as a pinch hitter. I'm not sure I thought he would be used as an opening batter, though. He looked completely out of it as an opening batter. He seemed confused. He should have been out early on by Trent Boult. That actually would have been a better innings, I think, had that happened. Instead, we just saw a lot of rusty swinging like a gate. He will come better, and he will play better. Maybe in future, Virat Kohli will bowl him more and bat him less. While he didn't have a great game statistically, worth noting that Kyle Jamieson actually did pretty well in this particular game. If you had just spent a lot of money on him, you might be thinking that wasn't the worst investment you've made. But this game was really about AB de Villiers, wasn't it? Virat Kohli flirted with taking the game over. Glenn Maxwell was there for a time. And then finally, it was AB de Villiers. Sure, he ran himself out just before the end when he did a bit of a circular two. Usually with running between wickets, we like to go straight there and straight back, but hey, AB thinks about things differently. That over of Jasprit Bumrah was incredible. Hitting that 6-over cover from that wide Yorker and then realizing that he was going to go into the pitch and lofting the ball over short third man. Just absolute next level batting there. And because of that shot, we got the upset. Although Mumbai never win early, do they? So maybe that wasn't an upset, but it felt like an upset. I'm not sure that Bangalore still has all the boxes ticked, but they look like a dangerous team at times. There's a lot that can go right for them, but let's be honest, when Harshal Patel takes a 5-wicket haul and hits the winning runs, a lot has gone right for them in this particular game that may not go right for them from now on in. So this is the era we talk about the players who were incredible last season. Kangisa Rabada, Anrik Nortje, they both took an absolute ton of wickets. But sadly, like many of the South African players, they are not available for the first game, so not for us. Since Delhi traded for Shikhar Dhawan, things have gone magical. Shikhar Dhawan, despite the fact that, do you remember that innings against Australia in a test match like a million years ago where we all went, wow, how good's he going to be in T20? Well, it turned out he wasn't that good in T20. He's kind of more of a plotter. And then of recent times, he's pressed the turbo button. Something has changed. And Delhi, since that trade, just been getting heaps out of him. And just of recent times, it is worth talking about the fact that PRITHVI Shaw has made, I'm not sure I have an exact number for this, but 1 million runs in List A cricket. I think it's 1 million. And we're going to have to put this up on the screen. It may not be 1 million. It may be slightly less. He's made a lot of runs. Chennai had a lot of good performing bowlers last year. I don't think they had anyone absolutely sensational. Deepak Chahar was very, very good. Sam Curran was not far behind, actually. But probably Ngidi would have been the best bowler for them last year. But he didn't play that much. And he's not going to play in this game because he is also, checks notes, South African. Do you remember the old days when Chennai had all these spinners that did really well? Interesting now that it's more so their seamers. I don't really know what's been going on with Faf du Plessis' entire IPL career. He's been batting with the handbrake on, let's be honest. there's anchoring the innings, and there's, never actually picking the anchor up in the first place and having it drag along as you try and move the boat. And Faf du Plessis, he can hit the ball. There's a lot more to his game than what he's probably done. Now he's no longer South African captain. Maybe that's changed a little bit. Maybe he's having to live for his lunch a little bit more. He could be unemployed soon. You don't want to miss out on an IPL deal. Whatever it was, or it could have just been the fact he was in the UAE last year, but he looked incredible last year. And if he can continue anything like that kind of form, it'll be huge for Chennai. It's worth talking about players who've gone cold. Rishabh Pant, to be fair, he's now warmed up again. But if we're just looking at the last IPL season, then he had a high average, but that was a slow strike rate. Honestly, the kind of player he is, I'd happily just switch those around. It's the high strike rate you really want. A lot of players can average 30 or 35 in IPL cricket by playing within themselves. There aren't many players who can score it over a strike rate of 150, and Rishabh Pant can, and I think that's really what Delhi need to get him back to. I don't know what happened last year, but let this beautiful peacock fly. Do peacocks fly? I probably should have looked that up. I'm pretty sure peacocks fly. Maybe not a lot. They can sort of jump, can't they? I don't know. Years ago, I wrote a piece about how weird it was that Ravi Jadeja was just not better at T20 cricket, because he seems perfectly set up to be that. He's a great athlete. He can bat, he can bowl, he can field. It just seems like logical that he would be an absolute top-level T20 player. It's never quite happened, although since I wrote that piece, I think he was a little bit better. Now he's turning himself into a very, very good batter in T20, but his bowling has just not been working well. He was averaging 53 with a ball last year, going at almost 9 and over. That is terrible for the person who may actually be Test cricket's MVP. Remember that we record this early and things can change. For instance, Quinton de Kock, he can change. Well, COVID and quarantine is hitting the Capitals right in their feels here. Rabada and Nortje are still in quarantine, and Harshal Patel has the COVID. Hopefully, it does not affect him too much. There's still an outside chance he might play, but it is, and it's outside. So that means it's not very likely, is it? As far as your selection goes, this means that Ishant Sharma, Umesh Yadav, Chris Wokes, that a sort of collection of those people are very likely to play. Tom Curran, also an outside chance to play if they want to, give themselves a little bit more batting, because he can whack a couple at the end. But I would assume that it's going to be Ishant Sharma, Umesh Yadav, and Chris Wokes of the main sort of core that they'll be looking at. Keep a little eye on LALIT YADAV here, because Harshal Patel probably won't play because of the COVIDs. And YADAV spins it and whacks it. He's an interesting talent coming through. He's got a very good record at the lower levels. This is a good chance to get him some playing time if you're Delhi. Lungi Ngidi is also in quarantine with the rest of his South African brethren, so he won't play as well. Although I'm not sure he was going to play anyway, although he would be in my first 11 choice for Chennai. Just having a little bit of a look at the matchups here. Ravi Jadeja went at 13 runs and over in his last two matches against Delhi. Shikhar Dhawan, on the other hand, did all sorts of great stuff against Chennai last year, so worth storing that one in your hair, apparently. Let's just look at these two teams, though, a little bit here. Chennai spent absolutely years being a top-quality team by basically having experienced players, role players, trusting their players, trusting MS Dhoni because he's really good in chases, and making sure that their local pitches span, and then picking lots of spinners. That's kind of the most important one at the moment, because that's something that they can't do. But to be honest, other teams just worked out what Chennai were doing and they've moved on. And Chennai now play a slightly older style form of T20 cricket. Not to mention that Dhoni just isn't the player that he once was. Perhaps because he played in IPL so recently, he'll be in better form this time. But we're going to have to wait and see on him, aren't we? I don't think a lot of people are believing in Chennai. It'd be very interesting to see how they go. I can't think of a worse possible start for them than playing 5 games at Wankhede, where essentially it's not going to help their sort of spin-dependent thought process. They don't have the fast bowlers to exploit it. But they do have an extraordinary long batting lineup. If they want, they can bat pretty much to 10/11 with hitting. And they can play a form of cricket that they've never played before. And even though their bowling is a little bit fragile, they still have 6 frontline bowlers in their 11 to choose from if they pick Moeen Ali in the top 6. And they will pick Moeen Ali in the top 6. Tell me they'll pick Moeen Ali in the top 6. Tell me they didn't pick him and then not intend to play him. What was Bangalore thinking? What I'm saying is, I have no idea if Chennai are going to be good or not. A lot of people think they're going to be bad. I think they could be fun. That doesn't mean they'll win, though. No, doesn't mean they'll win. but fun's good too. Delhi are a little bit harder to work out. There is some real talent here, but they don't look like quite a genuine title contender to me. Now, a couple of players could pick up and that could completely change, but just look at their lineup on paper. It looks good, but maybe not winning the whole thing good. The interesting thing about this is that 3 of their frontline players are out. This would be a throwaway game, realistically, if they were playing Mumbai or, you know, one of the better teams. I think they'd probably say to themselves, let's just blood a couple of youngsters and start slowly. But because they're playing Chennai and everyone's saying Chennai is going to be bad, you don't want to lose an early game to Chennai. So I think they're going to be coming out quite strong here. And they do have good backup here. Even without their 2 quickest bowlers, they still have Wokes and Yadav and Ishant Sharma and these guys in their team. So it's not like they completely drop off when it comes to pace. So there's still a couple of weapons here for Wankhede. And I've been thinking about this pitch. I think it suits them a lot. So I think they're going to want to come out of these games at least 2-1 up. And, you know, in best case scenario would be 3. If you can, at any stage, you should always try not to lose any games. And if they do play Chris Wokes and they bat him at 8, that gives them quite a bit of flexibility to, you know, swing hard with the bat early on. And I think that's going to be really good for guys like Harshal Patel. Let him in. Let him have fun. Swing the bat. We need more fun. I don't know if this is proper analysis, but dial up the fun. Mumbai has been a very, very good ground when it comes to pace bowling and batting. It's not so much for spinners. This is a wicket that you want to whack the ball, or whack it into the pitch, or whack it with your bat. You know, a lot of whacking goes on at Mumbai. I can't see how that's going to change for this particular game. Give the spinners a rest, take as much pace and hitting as you can fit into your lineup. But just looking at some of the players here, Harshal Patel has been awesome here in the last couple of years, averaging 63 with the bat at a strike rate of 231. PLESSIS likes it here too. He averages 40 with a strike rate of 145. Robin Uthappa actually scores quite well here, although not at a good strike rate. So if he slips into the side, or you think he might play, he might be a worthy addition. Shardul Thakur and Dwayne Bravo do struggle a little bit here. They're both cutter specialists, and I wonder if the ball just doesn't grip as much when they're doing their little magic tricks on the smooth Wankhede surface. That's smooth. Smooth. I hope that felt smooth for you. Deepak Chahar, though, does actually do quite well on this surface, so it'd be interesting to see how he goes. So let's have a look at my team, shall we? Because I am absolutely not an expert in fantasy cricket, and yet here I am telling you. Basically, I tell you my team so you can be better than me. So I went with the 2 wicket keepers. I think you'll see that. I like wicket keepers as a general rule. I don't think MS Dhoni's about to come out and blitz his first game, but he does like pace bowling, and there will be some pace bowling on offer there. But I've gone for Harshal Patel as my captain. I know he wasn't in great form in the last IPL, but he looks like he looks like the Harshal Patel he used to look like before someone ruined him. I don't know who ruined him. No names here. I've just gone with the 3 batters here. I've gone pretty much just top order guys. PLESSIS and Shikhar Dhawan, look very good to me. And PRITHVI Shaw, backing the fact that he feels like he's seeing the ball. If you've made a double century in a List A game of recent times, you know, that's enough for me to put you in my fantasy team. So, you know, if anyone ever wants to be in my fantasy team, that's all you need to do, really. I've got a whole buttload of all-rounders in this one. I don't know about my pick for Dwayne Bravo there, but I've got Moeen Ali and Sam Curran, Chris Wokes, and obviously Sir Ravi Jadeja there. So, you know, going all the all-rounders. Chris Wokes, I've got in more for his bowling because I think this could be a wicket that could favour him. But I'm going to, you know, listen to the teams right up until the toss because I'm a little bit worried they may not play him. But they should. They should play him. I believe in this fact. And, you know, in general, I'm not sure about all these all-rounders, but I think, they're all going to get a good chance to bat because I think these teams are going to go quite hard at Wankhede. That's my guess, that these teams are going to go quite hard. It's a batting pitch, isn't it? So you want to whack as many balls as you can. And I've gone for Deepak Chahar. And I kind of told you about that in the show, didn't I? He's got a good record there. I think he's a quality bowler. He bowled well last year. I like him. My11Circle, head over there. There are links and things, and I'll be tweeting and Instagramming and doing, you know, various kinds of things about them as well. But head over there, play the game. I must admit, it's more fun than I'd like to admit. Do you know what I like about fantasy cricket? If you do this with real teams, the players come over and they're really upset at you. No players even contacted me about this stuff yet. So hit the links, play that, and I will see you right here tomorrow.